Okay, we're back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about time signature or metered time, time meter. But before we do that, I want to review the time values of the notes with you. So we're going to start with this one right here. That is a quarter note. That gets one count. So when you see that one, you can say ta, or you can say count it with the number 1 or 2, or wherever it happens to fall within the measure. Okay, and then here we have the half note, and the half note gets 2 beats. So you'd say ta, 2, or you'd say hold on, or you could say 1, 2. And then finally, we have the whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets 4 counts. Remember, the whole note is easy to spot. It looks like a hole. It doesn't have a stem. It just is a round circle, so that's easy to spot. And that whole note would get 4 counts total. So we're going to take this down, and it might be that you can learn that a little easier. I'm going to put these cards up, and you see these cards actually have the quarter notes and the half notes and the whole note on the end. And so if we were going to count this, we'd start here on this side. Ta, 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 2, ta, 2, ta, 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 2, 3, 4. Now you can kind of understand that. Let me move that over here, make it a little easier. But what if we did this in a song? It would be a little bit easier for you to count and understand the concept of counting. When we give, and you'll see how we give each of these quarter notes 1 beat, and we give the half notes 2 beats, back to the quarter notes 1 beat again, and then 4 beats on that very last whole note. And we're going to do this in rhythm. Ta, 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 2, ta, 2, ta, 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 2, 3, 4. Well, I think it would probably make more sense if you could actually hear this done, as I said a minute ago, in a song. So let's try it like this, okay? Ta, 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 2, ta, 2, ta, 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 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm going to do this again with counting instead. So I'm going to start right back at the beginning again. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that should give you a little better understanding as to how the counting and the rhythm works and how that can keep you with a nice steady beat like we like to see. Okay, and on that, we're going to get into rests next, and I wanted to get into because the rests are going to be part of that the time. And so let's start with this one. Okay, and you notice this one looks almost like a hat. If you can just imagine a little face down here, like 2 eyes, nose right there, a little smiley face, wearing a hat. If you think about hat and half, they both start with HA, don't they? Hat and half. This is a half rest, and a half rest gets 2 counts, just like the half note. So you would rest. When you rest, you take a nap, you're not doing anything, and that's what you would do when you see this rest. You would rest for 2 whole beats. And with that, now we have one going the other way. This is a whole rest. So if you can imagine somebody walking along here and falling in a hole, you can remember that that is a whole rest. And that whole rest would get 4 beats. And so you would rest for that whole time. 1, 2, 3, 4. You would rest for 4 whole beats. And this one, my students kind of say it looks like a sideways mustache. That is a quarter rest. And a quarter rest, like the quarter note, you can imagine, gets one beat. And one more sign I wanted to look at before I forget. This is not a rest, this is a repeat sign, and when you see that, it's typically at the end of a song and it means to go back and repeat. So I did want you to see that because you're going to be seeing that in just a very few minutes. Okay, well, let's look at the rest and how they work. Okay, so let me get my papers here. Okay. Now we have a quarter note and a rest, and a quarter note and a rest. So you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, or ta, wait, ta, wait. And then you have this one, you turn it the right way. You would go ta, rest, 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 or there's 3 rests there, so you would count each one of those rests. Ta, 2, 3, 4, or ta, rest, 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 or 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you're comfortable with. Let's try another one. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3, rest, or ta, 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 rest. Okay, well, let's put a few of these together. Okay, let me get that guy out of the way. We don't need him anymore. Okay, okay, and we're gonna, let me scoot this down. I want to make sure that you can see what we're doing here. Okay, and we have ta, rest, ta, rest, ta, rest, 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 ta, 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 rest. So that's how your rest work. They give you a definite break in the music, but only for that amount of beats. Again, the quarter rest gets 1 beat. And there's your quarter rest. Your whole rest gets 4 beats. So when you see that whole rest, you're going to rest for 4 whole counts. And now you have a half rest. And with the half rest, you are going to rest for 2 full beats. Okay, so with that, now that you have a little review on those note values and the rest, we've introduced rest, we're going to introduce your time signature. So if you look at your book in the middle in that pink bar, you see, and that's on page 20, you see it says time signature. And music has numbers in the beginning of the time signature. And I'm going to pull that up so you can see those numbers right there, the 4, those 2 4s. See that? Okay. That means that is your time signature, or your time meter, as it sometimes is called as well. And there's a number on the top and a number on the bottom, you can see. Well, the number on the top equals how many beats there are in a measure. Okay. And the bottom number indicates that the quarter note equals 1 beat, or 1 count. If you think about 4 quarters, or being in a dollar, you can remember that that means quarter. So that would mean the quarter note, and the quarter note gets 1 beat. So in 4/4 time, you have 4 beats per measure, and the bottom one means the quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, and so let me erase this. Okay, and where is my eraser? Okay, hang on, I gotta get my eraser. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Even the best laid plans, things go wrong sometimes. Can't be helped. It just does. And you'll see that too. You probably already know that. So I'm going to erase this. So with that being said, if we have our measures, inside of each measure in 4/4 time is going to be 4 beats, and quarter gets 1 count. So you have 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets 1 count. So if I wanted to make 4 counts in this measure, I could do it by writing a whole note. So by writing a whole note, that measure has 4 beats. Or I could make 2 quarter notes and a half note. Now I have 4 beats. This gets 1, this gets 1, and this gets 2. So there's 4 beats. And this is 4 beats here. Or I could make 2 half notes, and these get 2, and this one would get 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to put a 3, 4 here, there. So that'll be a little easier. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go on. There's any number of things I could do. I could go down here and do 4 quarter notes. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I could go over here and go 1, 2, and 3, 4. But I couldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4 because now you got 4 counts with this one. So this doesn't work. That measure would have a total of how many counts? You have 4 here, and 1 here, that's 5, and 2 more is 7. So in 4/4 time, that wouldn't be done, would it? You would not have a measure that has that many beats. Okay, well, let's do something different. We're going to change that top number. Let's change that top number to a 3. Now how many beats per measure do you have? You have a 3, so how many beats do you think you'd have per measure? You would have 3 beats per measure. And 3/4 time is also known as waltz time, because in waltz time you can hear that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or also because the first beat is always a little bit stronger, it would be strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. You can do it like that. So we're going to give this 3/4 time instead of 4/4. Now how would we make that up? Okay, well, you could do 3 quarter notes. Now you have 1, 2, 3. You could do a half note and a quarter. Now you have 1, 2, 3. But you couldn't do a whole note, could you? Because that's 4. So that wouldn't work. And there's also a note. Let's see if I can get this drawn a little bit neater for you. That didn't look very good. There's also a note called a dotted half note. You see, it's a half note, but it has a dot beside it. And that dot gives that half note an extra beat. So that half note now has 3 beats instead of 2. So you could write a measure with just the dotted half note in it in 3/4 time. Or if it was 4/4 time, you could put it in there and put a quarter note with it, and then you'd have your 4 beats. But we have 1, 2, 3. The dot actually adds half the time value of the note, and half of 2, the half note gets 2. Half of 2 would be 1, so 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that now gets 3 beats. So in 3/4 time, your measures would each get 3 beats. And in 4/4 time, your measures would get 4 beats. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then you'd have to add another one to make a 4, wouldn't you? So you'd have to add another quarter note. You'd have to add another quarter note here. You might have to add one quarter note here because, again, this one would get 3 beats. So when you look at your measures in 4/4 time, they each would get 4 beats. Hold that up there. Okay. Now if you notice, there's that whole rest. That means that in the top line of that exercise, your left hand is going to rest while your right hand plays. And then when you look at the bottom line, this is on page 20 on playing the grand staff at the bottom. When you look at the bottom line, you see the whole rest is on top. That means your right hand is going to rest for 4 whole beats through that whole thing there. And there on the very end is that repeat sign that we just talked about. That means when you start that, you're going to go through the whole thing right from the beginning. Okay, and my dogs are going to start barking right now, and that's about right. So, and we're pretty much done with this portion of the video. So, you guys have a great night, and we'll be back next time. The next video that we have to do with is we're going to be going into the actual pieces that we're going to be playing. So, have a good night, and we will get back with you.